Hey guys, welcome again to Lex of Motion. My name is Leko, and today we're going to be animating what you just watched right now, and we're going to be doing it in Invision Studio. I'm so excited that we have to be using Invision Studio for this animation tutorial. Invision Studio is one of the most powerful prototyping tools out there, and believe me, you guys are going to enjoy this particular tutorial. Now, before I get to the meat of the animation tutorial, which is this guy over here, I want to explain the principle behind that jiggle effect. Believe me, the animation was majorly based upon that jiggle effect. Now let me explain to you what I'm saying. So if I go to the timeline now, you see this effect a lot. What I call it effect, or you see this bounce like effect a lot in the video. Now it's based on I call it the legs jiggle formula. Forgive my poor name conversion skills, but it's just a particular set of rules you can apply to any particular element whatsoever, and you will have your jiggle or your bounce like effect. So I'm going to explain thoroughly that effect, and I believe when you understand it, you can apply it to any particular element whatsoever you want to, and you could reduce that effect as much as you want. After we do this, I'm going to do two of the icons you see in the animation preview, and you can just do the rest so that you can learn. Because if I was to do everything, it would take a whole lot of time, and I don't want to waste your time on this animation tutorials. So first of all, I'm going to explain how it works. So if you go into the timeline here, you will see that it's just a normal physics principle. So there's a ball that is at 100%, it enlarges to 112. Then for 112, it goes back down to 98. Then from 98, it goes to 102, and from 102 it comes down. Division reads the displacement of elements between artboards. So for this particular first ball, it was at 100 on the first artboard impact. Then it moves to 112 on the second artboard bounce. Then from the second artboard bounce, there is a layer called swing 1. And that swing 1 is also in the impact artboard, but I set it at 112, and in the timeline I staggered it to start at the end of the first ball. So he also picks up where ball stops at 112, and it comes down to 98. And the same thing for swing 2, picks up at 98 and goes to 102, and swing 3 picks it up from 102 and goes to 100. Now it might sound complex if you are new to Invision totally from the start, but we're going to do it again together, and I'm going to explain it. So let's do this. So I'm just going to create a new artboard or a new file. Yeah, and before then, let me just copy this guy so we don't have to create it again from scratch. Just going to paste this guy here and call him inertia. So you find that in inertia we have, let me delete this guy. So I'm just going to create a new board. Let me close that. I just set it at 100%. Let me just do it from here. Yep. I'm setting it at this place. Paint it yellow, please. White, please. So yeah, this is the first artboard. I bring it here, and I bring it here also. Cool. So I'm just rename this guy as impact, and I rename this guy as bounce. Are you following? So I'm just call this guy ball field. I'm just going to copy and paste. Copy and paste the name into. So yeah, we have the same elements in all of our artboards. So now this is where the game begins. When ball impacts this particular artboard, don't worry, we're going to do how this guy moves from here to here, but the major thing is this impact bounce layer. So when the ball impacts at 100% bounce, we want it to go to 112 immediately. Then after that is done. After that is done with 112, another layer picks it up from 112 to 98. Then immediately when that is done, another layer picks it up at 98 to 102, and immediately another picks it up at 102 to 100. We just have to be smart with staggering the elements and deactivating the elements with opacities and fields. So now for the first board, it is 100% here. 100%. Let me just increase this guy like this so we can see the full picture. So it's 100%. Yep. At this place, I want it to be 112. I'm just going to drag it to 112. Yep, 112. Now don't change it from here to 112. Make sure you're dragging it from here to 112, but keep your eyes on this 112. Now, when this is here at 112, what I'm going to do, if I play it now, you'll see what will happen. Let me just connect all of them together. Motion. Make sure you're using timer. Yeah, make sure there's no timeout, because we want it to be immediate. So if I play it now, you see it's going to 112. Make sure this guy is set at linear. There's a reason for that. So it's at 112. Now I'm going to make the speed to be 0.7. Sorry about that. I keep confusing. 0.07, please. Yep, it should be fast. So yeah, that's beautiful. So the first displacement is going to be at 0.7. So it goes from 100 here to 112 here at 0.7. So when that happens, I'm just going to duplicate this guy and call it swing 1. Copy and paste it here. Now, when this happens, I want, it's 112 here. Then swing 1 also has to pick it up at 112 here and needs to go to 98. So this guy will go down to 98. Just keep your eyes on the readings there at 98. So 100 ball field ends at 112. Then swing 1 picks it up at 112 and ends at 98. But you've noticed that when we go into the timeline now, you may not really notice the difference. The way we can create the difference is by staggering the layers. So I'm just going to drag this guy here, 0.7, and push it to about 0.22 duration. Now, you may not even notice anything. Why? Because this ball field is also activated, as this is also activated, so it's hard for you to see any noticeable difference. One way we can actually solve that is by making sure that ball field is deactivated when it ends, and swing 1 is deactivated when it's not playing. So what is going to happen is that for ball field, we're not going to touch anything here, but for swing 1, we just off the field, take the field to 0. So you can see it has gone away. Now in bounce for the ball field, we're going to bring the ball field to 0%. Have you seen what happened there? So basically, I just turned it off for swing 1 using my field, and in the bounce, I turned it off using the opacity. The reason why I don't use opacity to turn off swing is because I will also need to turn swing off later when it's done. So it's really not going to work if I had already turned it off here and turn it off here with opacity again. So that's why for the impact layers, you turn off the preceding layers with field, and when they are done with the animation of the bounce layer, you turn them out with the opacity. So if I go into the timeline now, you might still see a little bit a little bit different between them. You are seeing it, but it's not really clear. What we're going to do now is to do some tweaking to it. So for the opacity, let us play it slowly so you can see what is happening. So it goes away, then it is coming in, but I don't want it to be like that. To solve that, I'm just going to take the opacity to this place. So the opacity is not going to happen until the very last frame. So you see, I've already solved it. The same thing I will do for field also. I'm just going to take the field to this place, and field, nothing is going to happen also for the field. So So you can see there's no more breaking. If I play it now, it's working perfectly. And that's it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just continue the flow. So swing 1 is at 98. Now I want another layer to pick it off at 98 to 102. So I'm just going to duplicate this guy, call it swing 2. Sorry. And I might just also copy it, place it here, swing 2. So now he has to pick it off at 98% here and take it to 102. I'll just take this guy to 102. Now don't forget, we need to deactivate swing 1 also. Now I will not use my opacity to deactivate it. You know I use the fill to deactivate it. Now I'm using my opacity. The reason why I can't use one property to deactivate and also on is because I will need to edit them in the timeline, and I can't edit them when they are used in different artboards. You get the concept? So for swing 2, I also have to deactivate it with this fill. So if I go into the, let me make sure this is working. Yeah, 102. So if I go into the timeline now, I just drag swing 2 to about 0.22 to 0.4. Yeah, this could work. So I'm just going to take the opacity of swing 1 to this place. Don't forget, like this also. And swing 2, I'll bring this fill to this place so you can see this and this. If both fill had a layer that was coming before it, you also will have a fill that will deactivate it. And it's going to be around here too. So if I play it now, you see everything is working. You can already see the bouncy effect. In fact, you can leave it like this if you're contented with it. But I wanted it to be more smoother. But if you're doing a lot of elements, and because imagine doing this for like 5 elements at once, swing 1, swing 2, swing 3 and stuff, it might take a lot of time. But you know, paying attention to details, although it might take time, but it makes your work look sweet and beautiful. So look how sweet that is. So if I go back now, I'll just do it for the last one. So I'm gonna just duplicate it to swing 3. I just copy it and paste it here back, swing 3. So at this place, I'm going to push it to 100 because, well, before that, you know, it needs to pick up at 102. This is 102, and it needs to land at 100%. And that's it. I need to deactivate this view. I need to deactivate the opacity of swing 2. I need to stagger them. The timeline. Yep, just bring this to this place. Yeah, beautiful. And that's basically the principles that held the animation you just watched. Get the concept? It's very paramount I explain this before I start, you know, giving them, because you're just going to, it's going to be very hard for you to understand what is going on. Get the concept? So there's something I want to add to these layers, because you have to be careful, because Invision works on strict naming conventions. Your layers have to be named exactly the same way, unless it's not going to work. So if I name this guy 100% so that you can understand it, sorry, I name this guy 100%. I name this guy, now this is not compulsory, you may not do it, it's just because this is a test case so that you can understand what is happening. Normally, it shouldn't work like this because they have different naming, different layer names, but apparently I tested it and it actually worked for some reason. So let's just see whether, I find it very cool so that you can really understand what is going on. So that's 102, and this is 100%. So now, both this starts at 100, it goes to 112. Swing 1 picks it up at 112 and goes to, swing 1 picks it up at 112 and goes to 98. Swing 2 picks it up at 98 and goes to 102. Swing 3 picks up the 102 and it's at 100. If you go to the timeline, wow, it's still working. So swing 1 goes from 100 to 112. From 112, swing 1 goes to 98. So 2 pixels up at this 98 and goes to 102. So 3 pixels up at 102 and goes down to 100. Beautiful, beautiful. Make sure that this is set at linear, not at easy, pop or whatever. This is set at linear. We need to have linear motion. And that's how you bounce it. So the last thing I want to do is to make sure that, I think if I put, now this might not work. I want to show you how the ball comes in. I'm just going to delete this guy and push. So if I take it to 0% now, 0, yep, and I connect this guy to this guy. Timer, give a timeout for this particular one, but don't give a timeout for this one. So at this place, the timeout goes from here, so it goes from 0 to 100. So if I play it here now, make this guy black so that we don't get confused. This is it, but then I'm not editing it in the timeline. First of all, the 0.3 is too much. Or better still, we can leave it by 0.3, but then the that's to be at linear. So if I play it now, beautiful, beautiful, and that is exactly what you have in the animation. So with this, I really hope you understand how Invision works. Invision works by reading different layer displacement. You don't really need to write all this 100% and whatnot. You might get confused and it might take a lot of time for you to do it. But since I'm just explaining like this, I find out that if you could get it for a couple of turns, it will be easy for you, like a second nature when you're actually doing it and when you're in the zone and you're animating. So that's basically how you actually animate this jiggle effect in Invision. I really hope you really understand how Invision works like this. So Invision is reading the displacement between layers. So the ball was at 100, it reads how it transforms to 112. And it's also reading the opacity, the fill, and everything. So Invision is a very fantastic tool for any animation principle you're going to do. So from now, I'm just going to go back into the bottom navigation, and yeah, I'm just going to do about 1 or 2 icons. I'll continue the tutorial. In case you run into any issue, just let me know in the comment. I'm more than happy to help you. So let's get this going. So the first thing we might need to do is to create like a reference point so that we can just use the icons later on. Just got this guy friends, and in this place we just activate all of the icons. So you can see all the icons. In case you need them, you can always pick them up. So you have our home. You just create 2 new adverts. I will name this home inertia. Okay, it's already on inertia. We'll name this home impact and bounce. Okay. So the first thing we need to do, if you remember from the last explanation, the circle comes from 0 to 100, basically. Now, one thing you need to know is that when I was explaining, I was using an increment of 100, but you find out that most elements obviously will not have the 100% pixel size or the 100%. So what I just thought about doing is that we just use the mathematics. So for this now, no, it's 90.99. We just use 91. That means 91 divided by 100, you have 0.91. Cool. So 0.91 times any of the percentages you want it to be. So if it's going to be 100, that will be 91 again. If it's going to be 112, that will be 101. That's about 102. If it's going to be 98, you're going to use 89.18. You get the concept. So that's how basically we're going to use the increment, and that is how you're going to use it for any of the element. So in case the element is 56 pixels, that's going to be 0.56 times maybe 98, 100, any way you want to get it. You get the concept. So moving on, this guy needs to be at 0. Just take him down to about 0. Now you may not get 0, but if you get 1, not bad. We use opacity and take it off. So it has come from there to there. Let's just play this guy. Let there be a timeout of 0.2. Let it be at 0.2 and say yes, save. And what we can do is to apply opacity so that we don't see that dot there. Yeah, perfect. The timeline. Now you can see it coming in. Make sure the graph is at linear and active. The opacity, we want it to not play for the whole section. We just wanted to play for the first frame. So if you play it now, it's coming up perfectly the way we want it to come. So after that is done, we've already entered the impact. Coming from inertia to impact is not really hard. It's just a single movement, but the bounce is where the game begins. So now in the bounce, if you remember, the impact or the layer that impacts goes up to 112, then another layer picks it up at 112 to 98, then another layer picks it up at 98, then to 102, then from 102 to 100, another layer picks it up. So this is the first layer that comes in at 100. Now it needs, at this point, second layer needs to pick it up at 112. So first of all, let me just close these layers I don't need to say. So these are the two guys I'm working with. This here and this here. So for this here now, it needs to go to 112. So I'm just going to push this guy to about 102. Keep your eyes on the readings here. So 102. Now don't mind this decimal placement. You may not get the exact 102 per se because the elements themselves have decimals already, but just make sure it's around that range of 102, 102, 103, 104. So if we go and connect them right now and just make sure there are no timeouts here. And if we edit timeline, you see it works perfectly and smoothly. Now that is just easy peasy. For the magic to start, while it lands, we need to duplicate it and name this guy swing 1. So instead of using swing 1, just use S1. Now we copy it and bring it back to this guy and paste it. So when it lands at 102, we use this guy. Picks up at 102 and goes down to the 98%. So that's going to be 0.91 times 98, which apparently is 89.18. You will see 88, 90. We could still work with that. So I'm just going to bring it down to 88. Yep, that works. So what I'm going to do now is, don't forget, we need to deactivate and activate layers. To deactivate the layer, remember on this layer, the swings, we just remove their fuse. Now fuse only work for objects that are filled with the color. For stroke, you don't have fuse, you have borders. So it's the border you click and pull down the fuse to the head like this. Now for walls or for where you have gradients, you need to first convert the gradients to a normal field. Then choose any red color or any color, not just any red color, a color that is associated with any of the gradient colors, and make it a document color so that you can reuse it again in the remaining tutorials and the remaining animations. Then you just take it away like this. Then the shadows, you deactivate the shadows also by going to the shadow and pulling it down as this. So that works. It is in this place you pull down active O. to 0. Cool. So if I go into the timeline now, don't forget active 1 needs to be at 0.7. That's the first layer that goes up to 112. Then the next layer has to go from 0.07 to 0.22. If you notice, home roof does not have fields, it has borders instead. So it's these borders are going to pull to the end. Home walls, you pull these fields to the end also. For shadows, there's no field, there's no border, but it's the shadow you're going to pull to the end. So if we play it now, see, it works. It goes up. It's at 100, it goes 112%, and it comes down to 90%. Make it linear, by the way. And that's it. And that's how you're going to just do it for the rest of the swings till you get to 100 back again. So let me just do the rest. So I'm just going to duplicate it now. Copy it. $92.8. Perhaps we use 93 also too. Or 94. Create opacity. Take away the fuse. Borders, if they are not shapes and they are parts instead. Make gradients solid. Take it away from here. And for shadow, .22 to 0.4. The reason why we have that is because we've not pushed the opacity to this place and we've not brought the fuse to this place also. Now I could do this faster by just opening all of them at once and holding down Command. You could just pull them simultaneously like this, and also like this, hold down Command or Control on the windows. I'm not sure shortcut for the windows. So then it should work. I think also this guy needs to come here. When you play it, it's working beautifully. So you see the idea we explained in the last explanation is working fantastically well here. That is basically how you actually go through it for each of them. So I'm going to do the last one right now, and I think we are good to go. So that is X3, and it's apparently going to go back to 100. So that's 91. I'm just going to pull it up. Before I pull it up though, let me just take it back to this place. And maybe that's 3. Pull it to 91. 90.47, that could work. Yeah, that could work. So I'm going to take away the opacity now and also deactivate X3 on the original artboard. So I'm just going to remove the fuse, take away the borders, shadows, fantastical. I go into the timeline. Yep. Easy peasy. Beautiful. And that's how you bounce an Invision. And this technique I just explained is what you're going to use for each of the icons. But then I need to show you how to do them simultaneously, because in the animation preview, this icon went down together with this guy, and while they were coming back up, there was a change. So that's the last thing I'm going to do right now, and from there we are done with the tutorial. Call this play national. Or better still, we'll just use it from here. Call this guy play national. Hit it here. Make it like this. Call this play should be playing back. I should be playing bounce. So the idea is that this particular icon we zoom in and its inactive will come out. Simultaneously, this also, the inactive icon play we zoom in and its active will come out. So let's just actually start so that you don't get confused. So from here, I just from this guy to about 1. Yep. I also took this guy to 1 also. 1 or 0. Sorry. Fantastic. So I just connect them like this. Simple as ABC. I'm just going to make both of them linear. Beautiful. Now I might just have to add opacity to the active so I don't see it. Now you have to be careful here. I think this is the active here. Because if you remember, X3 swing 3 was the final active home that landed on the preceding layer. So we actually cannot edit this guy again because it's actually deactivated. So this is the guy we are working with. If I play it now, beautiful, it's not showing again. So when this happens, simultaneously as they went in, the active of play should come out and the inactive of home should come out. So this is active play, but now it is at 0% opacity. What we actually want to happen is that we want it to come from 0 to 100. So what we're going to do is that we're going to have to delete this guy. And bring it in. Understand? and also take it back here again and break it. Let us delete it from here. And from here, we just take it to 0 or 1. Yep. It's full. The reason why I had to delete it was because it will be convincing for you if you have to drag it back from its region of 1 to 0 again. You might get distorted. So the best thing is just for you to delete it and just copy it back. You understand? If you really understand how Invision works, all these permutations shouldn't be so confusing for you. Very constant. Just understand the way Invision works and it's going to be very easy for you. Inactive of home, bring it in and paste it. For here, I'm just going to delete it also, paste it, but then I take it to, yep. So now if I go into the timeline now, you can see, beautiful. But one thing though, they are coming in at the same time. I want the preceding layers to first go in before the new layers are coming. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stagger them. So don't forget, initially it is the active homes, the active home and the inactive play that started. And we now have the inactive home and the active play coming in. So I'm just going to push them to about here. And that should work. So that's basically it. But now, that is simple. The bounce is now where the game begins. Now, apparently, I'm just going to delete this guy because that's not the bounce. I just bring this guy in and I just call it play bounce. Beautiful. Connect this guy to this guy and it should be immediately. See? See, it's working. But the problem is that when it lands, it should bounce also. So as we have this bouncing, when they land, they should also bounce. You understand my point? So that's what we're going to do. So when these two guys land in this particular place, they should bounce. The same bounce we have here, the same bounce you have to create here. So if you look at it again from the beginning, it should actually bounce. So at this point, we just have to be careful because we have to create a bounce for this inactive home, and also we need to create a bounce for the active place. So you're going to be having two swings. You know, for this particular one, we only have swings for active home S1, S2, S3. But for this one, we're going to have swings for inactive home S1, S2, S3, and also swings for active play S1, S2, S3. So you get the concept. So it's a tad bit of work, but if you could do it, or if you could just take the pain of learning it, believe me, you're going to be so versatile and understanding of the vision and software. Yes, so let's just get into it, you know, and just knock ourselves out. So first of all, I'm just going to bounce for the inactive, then I'll just bounce for the home. For the inactive, when it lands at 90.99, we need to go to 112. Now don't forget the calculation. 90.99 divided by 100 is about 0.91. That will be 0.91 times 112. So it's almost the same dimension with the active, almost. So we're going to do the same dimensions. That's 102.47. You understand? So we can just go ahead to connect both of them right now. So 0.2 seconds. So we can test what we just did. It's working perfectly. But don't forget to put it at 0.07. Cool. So when this is done, we just duplicate it in active home S1, copy it and paste it at play impact. So now, don't forget, you have to deactivate it by removing all of these fields. Now, for shapes or parts that do not have fields, that have borders, is the borders you're going to remove your field from. Just select all of them together and pull it as one, and you should remove it. And for this place, it is the preceding layer, you just remove the opacity. But don't forget, it's at 102 here, you need to push it to 98 because it goes from 100 to 112%, from 112% to 98%. So 0.91 times 98 is 90. So we need to push here to 90.47, that's about that. So this is 102, this is 90. Now we just need to duplicate, but before then, let's just edit them. When this happens, we need to push S1 0.07 to 0.22, and we need to edit the borders. Just select all of them together and put them down like this. Push it like this also. And the opacity, put it like this. See, it's working already. So what you're going to do is just to duplicate it again. Call this S2, copy it, bring it to playing path, and you paste it. On this part, just take S2 and push it to 102%, which is about 92 or 93, or if you have 92, 93, 94 should do it. 94 is not bad. So just take S1 and reduce opacity. Oh, there's a mistake. Make sure you are holding on Option and Shift together. Yep, that works. Let's deactivate this guy and copy X2, paste it to the layer, name it as 3. Oh, wait a minute. That was a mistake. Be careful, you don't make a mistake. Now when we edit it now, you see it's working normally, but then there's a mistake somewhere. I've not deactivated X2 borders here. Just put it down. So if I go and edit it now, full S2, 0.2 to 0.4. Put your opacity like this. Put them to the end like this. Just pull this guy. Let this guy and just pull them like this. 0.4. Yeah, it's working. I just need to do it one more time. That's for x3 and we are done. Now for x3 we just need to go back to 100%, which is obviously 91. Just carry x3 to 91 or 90.47 is not bad also. Deactivate x2. And put it here like this. Yep. So if I go into the timeline now, take S3, bring it to about here. That's 0.4 to 0.47. Exit the borders. The reason why the borders here are not filled is because the elements themselves don't have fields, but they are colored with borders. That's why we are using the borders. But for some element that is only fields they have is the fields you're going to edit. See here, that's it. It's bouncing the way we want it to bounce. So if I play it now, you see it's working. So basically that's the idea, and you're just going to apply it also to this particular guy. The play, and when you've done it, you're done with the first two icons. You just replicate it for these two. So I'm going to do it now for the play icon, but I'm going to time lapse. So you can just watch what I'm doing right now. So yeah, that's basically it. When I play now, she is working. I go back now and play. Exactly. So that's basically how I actually got to do animation preview. So you could just do it for the rest of the icons, and also for the next stage, this guy also goes down, this guy comes in, this guy goes down, this guy comes in. You get the concept, and you do the rest for the remaining UI elements. The goal of this is for you to really understand the animation model of Invision, and believe me, going through this exercise, you're going to understand every intricacy. It will take you to really fully understand Invision. I believe there's nobody that will go through all of this that Invision will not be 100% clear to the person. You get the concept. So with this, we come to the end of the tutorial. But in case you run into any problem, don't forget to hit me up in the comment. I'm more than happy to help you. Get the concept. So till we meet again, I remain Lekon. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also turn on the notification buttons to get new updates when new videos are up. Thank you so much. Goodbye.